is here. It's here. It's here. It's here. It's here. It's finally here. I'm so excited. Ah, yay. Hello guys, it is me, Nikki. Hello. In all seriousness, what is up everyone? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome. My name is Meg, and today we have the NikkieTutorials and Beauty Bay. We are going to do an unboxing. We are going to do a first impressions. We are going to eye swatch every single shadow in this palette. I will be applying to my eyeball so you can see how it works. So we have a lot going on today. If you have already seen 1,000,001 of these videos and you have already seen the unboxing and all the messages and everything that is on the packaging and you don't want to sit through that, I got you covered. I will have a time stamp right here of when that ends so you can go ahead and skip forward if you don't want to sit through it. I totally get it, totally understand, but let's unbox. So this is the packaging of the box. I just think it looks super cool. It's fun to get a decorative box in the mail. And this is what you see when you open up. You're gonna wanna gram this. I didn't actually read that until just now. That's really funny. And then up front it says, hello guys, it's me, Nikki, with her signature, hello. And the inside of the box is nice and fun. It looks like there is some nice recycled paper in here, which is always great. And I have a confession to make. I have already unboxed this on my Instagram stories, so I have already seen everything for the first time over there, but I haven't touched anything in the palette. But I've already gotten a sneak peek of what everything looks like, and I am that much more excited about it. So once you remove that first layer, this is what the inside of the box looks like. So there's more paper underneath. This palette, get that noisy stuff out of the way, comes wrapped in plastic. And this is what the outer packaging looks like. It has a nice silver sparkle all over it. The keyhole is so pretty. It is so cute. It says Pressed Pigment Palette, Nikkie X Beauty Bay, and I can feel that there's bubble wrap in here, which is, it kills me when brands ship something that is a powder product and they don't bubble wrap it. So I love that this is nicely bubble wrapped and secure, especially since it came all the way from England. So on the top, we have, again, the collab name. And on the back, we have a little message. It says, hello guys, it is me, Nikki. Hello. I am beyond excited. Are you excited? Yes. Luna's excited. Anyway, I am beyond excited for you to finally see this, my palette in collaboration with Beauty Bay. I am so grateful for this opportunity, and this time we're doing it right for everybody. This palette truly showcases my life and personality. You guys know that I'm all about that bright and unique makeup looks, which is true. Whenever I think of NikkieTutorials, I think of her bright, colorful eyeshadow looks. But this palette also shows a different, darker side of me. I can't wait to see the looks you'll create, from the dark and mysterious to bold and uniquely you. This palette is my safe place, my temple, and this never would have happened without the support of my glow babies. I love you. I love that message. It's so cute. So we open it up and bam, double bubble wrapped. Love that. All right, so once you remove the bubble wrap, there's a couple things in here. There is the pop sock. Oh my God, I didn't see this because I just kind of took it out and I was like, I want to see the palette when I first unboxed it. But you get a pop socket. Do we see what is on the pop socket? I live for that. I love that. And I was just thinking that I need a new pop socket for my phone, so now I don't have to buy one. So thank you guys for doing that. And it also comes with a little info card, which I love and appreciate. So on the front of the cards, it says, hello guys, it's me, Nikki, hello. I want you to make the most of these gorgeous shades, so I want to show you how to master their full potential. Some of the formulas work best when applied with this shadow brush to build them up, while others work best applied with the fingers. Check out the symbols on the other side to see which is which. Have fun creating. And I love this because I will say it until I'm blue in the face. In my humble opinion, shimmer eyeshadows always apply better with your finger than they do with the brush, okay? You're probably gonna hear that more than once throughout this video, but I do like the back of this because it gives a description of which shadow like what the shadows actually look like, which is nice for people like me who review makeup, so I'm not sitting here like trying to think of description for an eyeshadow. And it's also helpful for the consumer so they can have a true idea of what the shadow is actually going to look like. And the little symbols is cute. It either has a brush or a brush and a finger next to the ones that you can apply with your finger. So let's talk about this packaging. I absolutely love it. Of course, this side is fun, but I'm more interested in this side, okay? I like the more dark and twisted side. I feel like that's more my vibe. Like, as much as I love a good hot pink and purple eyeshadow, this is definitely more my vibe. So over here, what I really love, and it's the same thing that's on the pop socket, is this middle finger skeleton. I die for that, and it just says RIP to my makeup shamers. I think it's so cool. There's so many fun details in here, and in case you can't tell, also, and lastly, you can say I have a thing for skulls here. And if you subscribe to my channel, you'll definitely be finding out more about my skull obsession in the month of October. So anyway, we have the little plastic protective, and this is the beautiful inside of the palette. I am me. This is the normal mirror. You are you. It is definitely a magnifying mirror, and I love that she did that because it's inclusive to everybody to make it easier for anyone to use her palette. So this is the beauty of the inside. These shimmers just look unreal. I can't wait to dip into them. The only thing that I will say about this palette is that I watched Nikkie's most recent video where she talked about the shade Ew. She said that on camera it looks teal, but in person it's truly a green color. So I will say that that is true on my iPhone. When I unboxed this on my Instagram stories, this looked so teal on camera, but it's like a bright Kelly green in real life. Here on my monitor, it's reading more to true life. It's picking up more green here. It could look totally different though when I'm editing, but from right now, it actually looks like a real green. And looking at all these shades in this palette on the monitor versus real life, everything looks pretty accurate. Like, it's reading how it actually looks. So let's talk about swatches really fast. Swatches don't mean shit, okay? Other than being aesthetically pleasing, you can't actually tell if an eyeshadow is good based on swatches on your arm. With that being said though, I am excited about the shimmer, so I will break my own no swatching rule to show you what swatches of the shimmers look like. And even with that, before we get into it, I want to say an eyeshadow is going to apply differently than from you going like this versus you patting it on your lid with an actual eye base. So it's still not an accurate representation, but it will give you a good idea of how the shimmer is actually going to look on the lid, and I can't wait to swatch those. As far as the matte shades go, it is so unfair to just base something off a finger swatch of a matte eyeshadow because it has nothing to do with how the shadow is actually going to apply on your face. So that is why I like to do eye swatches. I used to do them a lot more a couple years ago, and I'm not gonna lie, I've gotten pretty lazy with it. So what I'm going to do is apply every single eyeshadow to my eye as if I were wearing it in an eyeshadow look, and I think that that is beneficial for you, the consumer, because you get to see how it applies and how it actually looks if you were to wear that eyeshadow. So that is the whole thing behind why I love to do eye swatches and not finger swatches. So let's go ahead and get into that, and you guys are going to listen to a problem that I actually had with this palette while we're going through the eye swatches. All right, let's get into the finger swatches. So we have Ivy, Roxy, Catan, which I love the story behind that, Underground, Aura, All In, Pride, Mama Tutorials, and Mr. Tutorials. I'm so excited to dip in. This is such a beautiful icy white color. And then I'm just gonna be doing like one swatch with these because we'll get to see more on the lid. This has a really beautiful pink and peachy shift to it. It's almost like a purpley color. It is stunning. Now we have Underground. Okay, that is freaking beautiful. That's almost like a taupe. It's like a neutral, like if taupe could be neutral, because it's not quite cool, it's not quite warm. I would say like that's like a neutral taupey sparkle shade. I love shimmers like that. Next we have Aura. This looks like it's gonna be beautiful. Holy frick. This looks like glittery fire. That is what it looks like. Wow, that is stunning. I can't get over the glitter in here. It's like it's glitter, but then there's also like a slight pigment to the shadow as well. These are such beautiful shimmers. When I was watching Nikkie's video and watching her use them on herself, I'm like, this looks like a typical Nikkie shimmer, but it also looks so unique from any other shimmer that I've really seen from other brands. I am so excited to dip into All In. I think that might be one of my go-to shades in here if I want like a neutral shimmer. Ooh, that looks so metallic. It looks like a straight up metal. I know this is not showing on camera. I know. Oh my God. This is such a pretty dual chrome. It's like gold, but it also shifts almost like a pinky brown. It is stunning. Okay, Pride. I'm excited to see what Pride looks like. Again, this looks like straight up metal. I love these shimmers. Oh my God, this is beautiful. This is so icy and packed full of pigment. Like, I think that Pride is the most smoothly pigmented one out of all of them. It just doesn't feel quite as glittery as the rest. It is freaking beautiful. Oh my goodness. MakeupTutorials. Looks like a nice icy blue. That looks like a dual chrome as well. It kind of reminds me of a popsicle. And then we have Mr. Tutorials, which is supposed to be like a nice hazel color. Okay, Mr. Tutorials is packing in the pigment, and I'm going to go in for a second dip of MakeupTutorials. I think just because of the way that it's a dual chrome, it shifts like blue and silver. So this is what it looks like. I'm going to insert a clip from my iPhone so you guys can see a lot better of what these look like. I am really freaking stoked to play with this and actually get these shimmers on my eyelid. Like, before we jump into the eyeshadow swatches, which I'm gonna try to fit 3, 2, and I to make it easier on me, I do just want to say that after swatching right here, there's like a slightest, very faint stain from the shade Aura, and that, my friends, is why this is called a pressed pigment palette, because some of the shades like reds, especially reds or purples, can leave a slight stain behind on your skin or on your eye. But typically when you wear eyeshadow, you have some kind of base down, whether it's concealer or an actual eyeshadow base. So I'm not really worried about it. I did just want to point that out, and that is why it is called a pressed pigment eyeshadow palette. So for my eye base, I'm just going to use my P. Louise base, pat that on, and get to going with the shadows. I told you guys. You guys saw the timestamp when you clicked on this video, so you knew it was going to be a long one, but well worth it, hopefully. So I just want to get into my little debacle that I have with post services and with Beauty Bay. So I saw so many people having the same issue as me, so I know it's not just me. I think that Beauty Bay needs to have a chat with who they use to ship their products, because I paid for priority shipping, and what I said on Twitter, I still stand by. This was the easiest launch I have ever experienced in the last 2 years of makeup launches being something really intense and like anxiety inducing. I was able to check out no problem. I got the early access for that, and then about an hour after I placed my order, I noticed that my palette shipped, which is freaking fantastic. I paid for priority shipping. And one thing that I have to say before I get into this is that I placed an order with Beauty Bay literally 3 days before her palette launched. So I paid for standard shipping, which was $5, and I got my products in 1 week with standard shipping, which was fantastic. However, for Nikkie's palette, I was like, okay, I literally want to get this in days. because as a YouTuber, it's important to like get your video up first, obviously, for algorithm, and because I just really wanted to play with this. So I paid $15 for priority shipping, thinking it would be here in like 4 days. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have this by the end of the week because it already shipped. Well, I was wrong. So I'm going to go into Redemption and blend and snap in Ivy for my first eye. And Redemption is described as a marigold orange matte. Blend and Snap, which by the way, Legally Blonde is such an amazing movie. I love that, and I love the clever play on the words, is a bubblegum pink matte eyeshadow. So I'm gonna apply these with blending brushes because that's how I would apply a matte shadow into my crease. And we'll see how the pigment is. So anyways, my little happy ass thought I was gonna have my palette by the end of the week. Nope, it took about 2 weeks to get here. So I was obviously not happy with that, and my package was actually lost in the mail because for the tracking, they used TrackPack, and they said that it cleared customs a few days after it shipped and that they handed it off to FedEx to ship to me. So I contacted Beauty Bay. At the time, it said that they needed 24 hours to respond to inquiries. 24 hours went by, I didn't hear from them. But again, I'm sure they're so overwhelmed with a launch like this. So I'm not really, this really isn't on Beauty Bay per se. And they just said, there's no update to your shipping, which I was then disappointed because it's like, obviously I can see that myself with the tracking. So their customer support wasn't exactly helpful because in my mind, I'm like, why aren't they like figuring out where my package actually is and why it's not getting to me? Because at this point, I had reached out to FedEx. FedEx said that they never received my package from TrackPack. And when I contacted TrackPack, TrackPack said that they did hand off my package to FedEx. So it was just kind of like a where do we go from here thing. And then it was just ruled that my package was lost in the mail. I saw that people were having this problem all over the world, not just in the United States. I saw that people that even lived in England were experiencing lost packages and their palette taking almost 2 weeks to get to them when they live in the country where it was distributed out of. So I think it's definitely an issue with TrackPack, and I really hope that Beauty Bay gets on that and clears that up so there's not future issues with it. I'm a little shook over here as I've been talking. I cannot believe how well Ivy is applying with a brush. Like what? So now I'm just gonna go ahead. No. It's so good. Apply the rest of this with my finger. Holy crap. Like there's almost no difference in applying with a brush and my finger, which is amazing. That's how you know you have like a real good shimmer. So yeah, obviously I can cover more area and get it on faster with my finger versus a brush, but what do we think of the first 3 shadows? The pigment is there. You literally watch me in real time apply this. Don't worry, I'm gonna speed it up through the rest of the shadows or else we'll be here for an hour. You watch me in real time apply that. It literally took like what, 3 or 4 dabs to get this orange, and it already looks like it was starting to blend itself out. The pink is super pigmented. You saw that from the first dab. I'm really impressed with those first 3 shades. So let's go ahead and carry on to the next 3, which is Slasher, 5 AM, and Roxy Catan. All right, so Slasher is described as a mulberry purple matte. I love more like burgundy shades like this. These are like really rich and perfect for fall. So if any of you guys ordered the palette, did you, wow. Did you have an issue with shipping? Because I also have someone that lives in the same area as me, and we talk all the time on Instagram, and she paid standard shipping and got her palette is shipping faster than mine, who I paid priority shipping for. So I'm like, I was just a little thrown off by that. And then I was also upset with FedEx because this was supposed to be a priority mail package, and It took them 4 days to ship from LA to where I am in Arizona. That's one state over. Why is it taking 4 days to ship something a state over? Anyway, Beauty Bay said that they are going to refund my shipping, which I really appreciate because I think that they totally should be doing that. So they haven't yet, but I'm giving them another couple days before I email them again. So the shipping aspect was a little bit messy. So hopefully if you're someone that's experiencing the same issues, hopefully your palette is on the way, or hopefully you got it. It just seemed to be an issue across the entire world, especially with other countries once clearing customs, the package appearing to be lost. So I also would have thought it would have been helpful for Beauty Bay to just put out a statement saying like, hey, we're having these issues across the board, we're looking into it. You know, like say something instead of just nothing. That's my negativity with this. So as we can see, Roxy Catan is not as bam as Ivy with a brush, which is totally fine. I don't care. But with your finger, ooh, you can just see the peach and gold glitter that's in there. This is so pretty. Again, this is like a lighter iridescent shimmer compared to something that is more heavily pigmented. So I think this is pretty similar to Mama Tutorials in that it's a more subtle shimmer and not quite in your face. Again, even applying 5 a.m., it was like wanting to blend itself out once I started going with it, and the same with Slasher. So far the first row is like amazing. The matte quality is awesome. I'm really, really impressed with it. I can't wait to see how these brighter shades apply. The only other thing I'm going to say is, again, I personally do not mind this. I do not care. It's just so you guys are aware with the shimmers, it's going to leave like a little bit of like a glitter finish on your face, even if you wipe it off with a makeup wipe, which is why we should be washing our faces, not just using a makeup wipe. But just to let y'all know, and let's see if there's any kind of staining from this burgundy shade. Nope. All right, I'm gonna get my base on and we'll move on to the next row in a speedier fashion. All right, so up next we have Vila. I'm gonna butcher these Dutch words, so I'm sorry. Then we have Makai and then Mila. So what I'm going to do, Vila, I am going to butcher these Dutch words, so please don't crucify me. I can barely pronounce words in English. Then we have Makai. So I'm going to take the red and put that in the outer corner because it's a little bit darker, and then I'm excited to see what this looks like. This is going to be more in the middle, inner corner. By the way, I like want to cry every time I think about her putting the red in the middle and wanting it to be the heart of the palette for her brother. Like, it is so sweet. When have you ever seen on YouTube a red eyeshadow go on like that? Boop boop. Miss Nikki, you have done something here. Oh my God. I can't get over this. I'm so shook. Oh, wow. That is nice. And then even kind of dragging out what is left on my brush, it is not patchy at all. Like, girl. So basically, I'm just working with what I have just to see how this fades out across my lid. That literally looks like I spent so much time blending when I literally didn't. I lied. I was like, I'm done ranting about the whole shipping thing, so we're gonna get through this super fast. And I'm just like, if I'm shook over every shade, I don't see how I'm going to get through this super fast. So this neon, let me refer to my card. This Bumblebee Yellow Matte, it almost looks like a neon yellow green, is definitely a lot looser packed than the other shadows. You can see that there's a little bit more fallout, which again, doesn't mean it's bad. It just means you need to tap off the extra so you don't get fallout on your face. That's all it means. And then the red is described as a true matte red, and that it is. Okay, maybe I tapped off a little bit too much. Okay, so this shadow is a little bit messy. You're going to get fallout, but it's still there. It's still pigmented. You just can't tap a lot of it off or else you will lose the pigment. So this shadow is definitely more of one that you're gonna have to spend a little time on and build up, which again, I'm not complaining about because this is how normal shadows, you know, most shadows, you just don't stamp a color on and get that kind of payoff, so. I am not mad at this. It's just something to keep in mind if you're going to be using this shadow. You probably want to do your eye makeup first before you do your face makeup. That just looks like I have McDonald's on my eyes, but I live for it. And then even marrying these two together, it looks lovely. Okay, so let me get rid of all of that yellow. So next we have Mila, Underground, and Plot Twist. I'm gonna put Mila in the outer corner, Plot Twist in the middle, and then Underground in the inner corner. And then again, Mila is more of like a typical shadow as opposed to a pressed pigment, so it has a little more fallout to it than the other shades, and I think that was the case for Vla. I'm like, I know I'm not saying that right. For this yellow shade, I'm sure it's not a pressed pigment, so that's why it's more floofy. This shade, this is such a good fall shade, like wearing this all over your lid and then adding some shimmer in the middle. This is blending out so nicely. I am a big fan of that brown shadow. So let's get into Plot Twist. I am so interested to see what this shadow is going to look like, because she said it's kind of different every time that you apply it. So right now it just kind of looks like a powder blue, and it's described as a periwinkle matte. Mila is described as a caramel nude matte, and I would say that those are both very accurate descriptions. This is really, really beautiful. Nikki said that this shade is meant to pair with Amsterdam to help blend it out. It's also just like a nice, like blue toned matte white color almost. So it would be really good for like a matte inner corner or to like buff and blend out any edges like I'm doing right now. So I really like Plot Twist. I think that it's going to be a really useful shade in this palette. So now let me get into Underground, which is a silver gold shimmer. Apply first with my brush and then go in with my finger. Okay, so this one is definitely more of like a crumbly glitter, if that makes sense. I feel like you're gonna, like if you want it more subtle, you can apply it with a brush, but if you really want it to be impactful, it's gonna be easier for you to just go in with your finger. There we go. Because this again is such a metallic looking shade, it just looks so much better with your finger than a brush. But if you're not somebody like myself or Nikki that likes to be highlighted to the damn gods, use a brush. This is so pretty. It just looks like I have liquid metal on my eyelid and I love it. Okay, so next row. Row 3, we have to swatch Aura, Basic Truth, and again, I know my pronunciation. All in and ew. So obviously I'm gonna do these two to one eye and then these two to one eye. So I'm gonna lay down Basic Truth, which means basic bitch, and I love that, down first. So that is described as a pink toned nude matte shadow. This is pressed pretty heavily, so not much fault. This is the same color as my skin tone. And I love that there's a color like this in that palette because it's going to be really great for blending shadows out. Or again, it's like the same thing as Plot Twist. You can use it up to blend things out, to just like give a wash of color all over your lid. You can also use it to highlight your cut crease or your inner corner. So now I'm going to go in with Aura, which is the orange shimmer, which kind of left a slight mark behind on my arm. You can barely see it. It's barely noticeable, but let's see what this does on the eyes. Again, this just applies so much better with your finger. You're definitely getting more of the orange shadow that's behind it, like the pink orange. It's reading a little bit more orange on camera. It looks more pink in person. So let's just, that's why your finger works better. Absolutely gorgeous. And then of course, as you continue to spread it out, it looks a little bit more powdery and soft of the shadow because most of the glitter is coming off right where you laid it. So you can also kind of blend this shadow out with your finger and get like a soft haze effect and really have it directly impacted where you first lay it down. So I really like how that shadow worked on my lid. I'm really impressed with that. That's quite the multifaceted shimmer. So now we're going to go into Ew, which I'm just excited about because she hates greens. So like I said earlier, it read a little bit more teal than actual green. Here it looks pretty true to color. Again, the pigment is there. That is definitely pigmented. It's just so weird to describe. It does look lighter and more teal on my monitor, but it's like a bright green. Like, it's just so weird. When she said it in her video, she's like, it's like a bright green, and it's like so hard to imagine a bright green, but that's really what it looks like. I'm so excited. Okay, so now I'm gonna go into All In, which is the green dual chrome, which at first glance, it looks more like gold metallic, but I said as you look closer, you can, oh my God, right here, it is a dual chrome. The way I just stamped it and I'm looking at myself in my mirror, I can see the green. So there's a definite green dual chrome shift. Let's see if we can catch it on camera. No, don't want to catch it on camera. Oh, I feel like towards the end there. Like right at the very edge, you can see the slightest bit of green. It's hard to get dual chromes to show up on camera, but trust me when I say in person, this is such a pretty gold green color. This is a very impressive palette, okay? Like, I am shook by it. Again, I'm very proud of Nikkie for the price point she was able to get this down to. I was full blown, like when I first saw this palette, like the first picture of it, I easily thought this was gonna be a $60 palette, and I was like prepared to spend $60 on it. But the fact that she was able to get the price point down to $30 is incredible to me. Like, I don't know the last time I paid that little for an eyeshadow palette and had such amazing payoff and such unique shades and shimmers. I mean, you're getting so much for $30. I love that. My only complaint is that they said that this is a limited edition palette. I wish that they would make it more available is what I'm trying to get at. Because I know Nikkie said that she was afraid this wasn't going to sell out, which I understand. But I feel like they should like work it into the contract. Like if the first batch sells out and does really well, like there's an option to bring it back. So maybe they will. All right, so this last row, we have 5 shades left to swatch, and I'm gonna do things a little bit out of order because I wanna have Tutorials and Amsterdam on just one eye, and then I will put Zoomer, Pride, and Mr. Tutorials on another eye. I'm gonna start with Zoomer. I'm gonna put that in the middle of my lid, and then on either side, I'll put Pride and Mr. Tutorials. So Zoomer is described as a peach pink matte eyeshadow. And it is definitely, it's so unique. It's like definitely a peach, but it's like, it has warmth and brown in it. Like this is another stunning shade that I just like want to like put all over my entire crease. And I can tell this is going to blend out like a freaking dream. I love this color. Okay. So again, Pride is a pink dual chrome. Ugh, I'm so excited for this. I'm gonna put Pride out here. It is so freaking pink and beautiful. And then you can see the dual chromeness down here, how it kind of looks like a clear shimmer. This is stunning. Stunning, stunning, stunning. This is like a shade that I would just want to wear all over my eye and just have a metallic eyeball. So for the inner corner, I'm gonna go into Mr. Tutorials. Beautiful. And I can see the dual chrome in here, how it's more of like a little bit of a darker brown underneath. So this is a hazel shimmer, not a dual chrome. But I can see the depth to the shimmer. And I got so excited I forgot to apply these with a brush. So let me go ahead and do that. Here is Pride applied with a brush. We're just gonna get all the way. This is like Ivy. It pretty much applies the same with the brush as it does your finger. You're going to get that heavy impact with a brush. Let's see, Mr. Tutorials in the very inner corner. And then, yeah, you definitely want to apply this with your finger. It's just gonna be not as there. So again, if you want a lighter shimmer, apply with the brush, but you're definitely gonna want to apply with your finger for the impact. So the last matte shade is Amsterdam, which is a cobalt blue matte. I'm so excited. I'm basing one of my looks off of this color. I can't wait. This and the yellow. I am so excited. It never gets old. Oh my God. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I'm like trying to get this off so I can blend it and see what it looks like blending. So you can definitely blend some of the pigment away if it was like a little bit too much for you, which I appreciate because then you can just easily build it back up to be more intense in spots that you need it. I love this. And even with this, I'm not really getting that much fallout. I only had fallout with the yellow shade. So this blends out beautifully. And I'm gonna take this a little bit more across the middle because I wanna see what Mama Tutorials looks like on top of it. It just looks so diffused and faded. Like I'm just amazed at how these shadows just blend themselves out with little to no effort. So last but not least, we have Mama Tutorials. And I think it's safe to say this one is like it's pretty impactful. It's not quite as impactful as Pride and Ivy. It's slightly less impactful than those with a brush, but this is stunning. There we go, that's the bam. And let's just see how this looks like on top of Amsterdam. That looks beautiful on top of Amsterdam, are you kidding me? What I like about shimmers that are as impactful as these is that you don't have to cut your crease. Like you can fake cut a crease because it is so pigmented. You can just lay it down with your finger without having to go through the hassle of cutting a crease through it. So that is every single eyeshadow swatched. I have no complaints. The only thing I have to say is that with this yellow shade, there was fallout because you really need to pack it onto your brush to get it to show up. But that's not even a negative anything. That's just how most eyeshadows work. This is what the palette looks like. So you can see there's really not a lot of fallout or anything with it. I am so impressed. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is film my 3 looks, and I will check in after each look and let you know like what my final thoughts are actually working with the shadows and wearing them. So stay tuned for that if you want to hear my final thoughts on the palette. But what are your thoughts on the palette so far? Let me know down below. And I'm like, I feel like I should apologize for how long this video is, but I don't even care because this palette deserves every minute that I'm talking about it. And just to show you guys, there is no staining or anything even with the blue shades. And this leaves a very pretty makeup white after swatching all of those. So I will be back. You guys will see me in just a second with a full makeup look on. Okay, so I just want to do a check-in. This is a neutral look that I created for my 3 looks video. The eyeshadows, I didn't really have to do a lot of work or put a lot of effort in. I didn't have issues with fallout or anything, so far so good with the neutrals. Okay, so here is a check-in on the second look that I created with the palette. And I mean, do I really even need to say anything? Look at this. It is so good. The only thing that I will say, Amsterdam was flawless to work with. It was so easy to work with. I used Plot Twist in here, and then of course, I know I'm not saying that right. The only thing with that is that I had to be very specific with the brush that I was using to pack that shadow on. Okay, sorry, I was like, where's the other brush? The only thing I will say is that I first tried going in with my Sonia Kashuk 110 brush, which sometimes works well for matte shadows. This works really good for cream shadows as well, but but it was just too thin. You guys see how thin it is compared to like this brush? It's a lot thicker. So this did not pick up enough eyeshadow to get it to be impactful. So I had to switch over to this brush right here. And this is a boho brush. It came in an Ipsy bag years ago. So basically, if you're gonna use the yellow shadow, my advice to you, if you wanna pack it on, is to make sure you have a thicker shader brush. This packed it on, no problem. It was easy to do. Of course, there was fallout with it. That's the only shade in this palette really that I've experienced fallout with so far. And it's nothing to complain about. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. Just know with that shadow, it's gonna be messy when you use it. You're gonna have to like, do a light blow on your palette or take a fan if you don't want to blow on your palette to get the loose shadow out of there, and that's really it. And I'm gonna have to be shady here for a second because there are 20 shadows in here, and I use the matte shadows for this look, and I can't help but to compare them to the ABH Norvina palettes, because the payoff is very similar. So my shade is that the Norvina palettes are 25 shadows for $60. This is 20 shadows for $30. I will leave it at that. Here is the third look that I did with this palette complete. I do have some of my lighting lowered so you can really see the gorgeousness of the shimmers. I had to do a rainbow look, and again, I didn't have any issues except for the yellow. There was just a lot of fallout. It is what it is. It was pretty easy and effortless to create this look. I wanted to go a little bit pastel, but yeah, this pigment had other things in mind. So let me go ahead and give you my final thoughts, and we can finally wrap this video up. I know it was a long one, but I feel like it's worth it. You know, this palette's worth the time. So are there any shades I did not use at all? I didn't use Mr. Tutorials or Underground. So in my 3 looks, 1 palette, I literally used every single shadow except for Underground and except for Mr. Tutorials. So that being said, having tried 18 out of 20 shadows, the pigment really speaks for itself. Like, the looks that I create speak for itself when it comes to this palette. If you are somebody that really likes shimmers and you want like a plethora of shimmers, or like you want some colored shimmers in your collection, I think the shimmers make this palette worth it to begin with. And if you're not super into bright colors, you don't have to walk around with rainbow on your eyes. You can use a lot of these colors as a pop of color. So you can put this in your inner corner, this, like any of these you can just pop into your inner corner for a little bit of color. You can add this to your lower lash line. You can add, that's a great lower lash line shade. You can just add these in, you know, incorporate them in smaller ways if you're afraid of color. So if you're somebody that's like, I mostly do neutrals, I don't know what I would do with the color in this palette, hopefully that gives you some kind of idea. I will try to film a tutorial using color in a minimal way. Maybe I'll add that to my Back to Basics series. So if you guys are interested in that, be sure to subscribe. But the neutrals in here, of course, are beautiful. So for me, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 matte shades in here that you can use for an everyday look. You can also probably get away with using this orange in an everyday look and the yellow. So I guess if you really wanted to argue it, you could have 5 shadows in here that you could wear on a day-to-day basis without looking like this. So yeah, I would rate this palette like a 9.5 out of 10. Like, it's just so good. I just wish the yellow shade wasn't as powdery, but I get if that's how the shadow has to be for it to have the pigment that it has. That's just the way it is. I thought all of these blended really well into each other. I feel like I don't have any definitions and lines like you're like, okay, this is where the orange starts and stops, and like there's a harsh line there. I felt like everything just blended nicely. I didn't really have to manipulate the shadows very much. It was just a very easy to work with palette, which is nice for somebody like me, but it's also great if you're somebody that's new and starting into makeup. It's just, all around good for everyone. The palette is easy to work with. I still can't get over the fact of the price point on this. I can't believe that this is only $30. So I know Nikkie said that in the next couple of weeks they're going to be releasing part 2 of their launch. So I would highly recommend getting it. If you missed out on the first time, I think it's worth the $30. I would just, you know, don't go for the priority shipping, just pay the $5 for standard shipping. Learn from me. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this super in-depth review. I don't remember the last time I went like so in-depth into a makeup review before, but I really had fun filming this. I really had fun putting the 3 looks together. If you would like to see the tutorials on that, the 3 looks using 1 palette video will be out Thursday, so be sure to subscribe. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts on this palette are. I would really love to hear from you. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this. I really do appreciate it and appreciate any support that you give me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye everyone.